Okay, so for number 1, it says P equals 4S, and then it says 4S. So will you just box in this part here, the 4S? That's telling you what you are going to solve for. So when you're doing these, the first step I want you to do is write the equation. And then we're just going to draw an arrow to what we're solving for. So we want to get the S by itself. Okay, right now the S is hanging out with what? Who's the S hanging out with? The 4. Yep. Okay, so the 4 and the S are stuck together. They're stuck together with what operation? Addition, subtraction, multiplication? Division. That we have to do division. What are they stuck together with?
Oh, multiplication.
Multiplication. Good. So the way you undo that is division. Great. So Keith, you want to tell me what we're going to divide by?
By 4.
Great. Awesome. Okay, so we're going to divide by 4 on both sides. Now remember, when you divide, I was trying to lock it in. Okay. All right, so when you divide by 4, 4 divided by 4, what number is that? 1. Just 1, right? So when those divide, you get S. And then you don't have to calculate anything here. You're going to leave it just like this. So P divided by 4. I kind of squeezed that in there. And then you can write it like this as your final answer. You can also write it as S equals P over 4, like that. Okay. For number 2, I want you to box in what you're solving for and then draw an arrow to that. Box in what you're solving for and then draw an arrow to that letter. So what are you solving for? And then box it in. All right, Stacey, tell me what we're solving for this guy. Yep, we're solving for B. So, do any of you need more time to draw your arrow? You guys with me? Draw an arrow to B. Okay. So, for B, here we go. Now, last time they were stuck together with multiplication. How is B connected to the A and the C? Addition. So we have to do the inverse, okay? How do you undo addition?
Subtraction.
Yeah, great. Okay, now when you're doing this, it doesn't matter what order you do this in, but you're going to subtract the A from both sides. So we'll do it in 2 steps, okay? So this will be B plus C equals 180 minus A. Okay, is B alone yet? So A minus A is 0. If it's 0, then you don't have to write anything, okay? All right, one more step to get B alone. Anybody want to tell me what it is? What they're thinking? B plus C. How are you going to subtract? Yeah, you're just going to subtract C. Great. Okay, so we're going to minus C from both sides. So we have B equals 180 minus A minus C. That's your final answer. 180 minus A minus C. Okay? Yep, question, please? Yeah. Do you guys have any questions about this? Okay, then let's do number 3 together. So we're going to solve for what variable? Okay. So if we're solving for k, I'm just going to draw an arrow to that. Equations like this are a little more complicated because you have to move over two things here. Okay, whenever you have a fraction, okay, do you guys remember when we were working with fractions what your first step was? This fraction line also means what operation? Yes, division. So if you have p equals, let's write the equation here. This is k times t divided by v. We're solving for k. So if it's division, how do you move over the v? Let me give you a hint. Remember the parentheses? What am I going to put on the outside of the parentheses? V. Great. So when you multiply by something that you're dividing by, those are going to cancel. V and V cancel. So you have k times t, and then v times p. Whenever you have multiplication, you can write it like this. VP. Okay, and then there's one more step. Remember, you're solving for k. I want you to see if you can do that last step. And then write your equation. All right, so what do we come up with? So this is k times t, right? How do you undo multiplication? Division, yep. Okay, so if we're solving for k, what we're going to have to divide by is t. Okay, so t divided by t cancels out. And you are left with k. This side is exactly what you see, VP over T. Okay, so K equals VP over T. Okay, now, the reason why this is a skill that's often assessed is so that you can solve story problems by plugging in values, which is what we have for 4 and 5. So you have this formula, which relates to the volume of a square pyramid. Have you guys done volume with the square, with pyramids yet in middle school? Do you guys remember doing that? Usually, okay, yeah. Okay, yep. This is also something that you will review next year. So it says this formula relates the volume to its base length, which that's an L, the base width, W, and the height, H. We want to solve the formula for W. Okay, so I'm going to walk you through that step. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's write the equation over here. Length times width times height. I'll make my L fancy because I think that L looks like an I.
Yeah, I don't know why lowercase L with a little one, not.
Yeah.
And then uppercase L with less.
And then you don't have to write this part down, but I just want to remind you of something that we've actually already done this year. So if, I know there's a lot of letters here, okay? Let's just say that we have, I'm going to put in a number, okay? I'm going to say 5 equals 1/3 times x. Do you guys remember what you would do to solve for x in this case? Yes? Mm-hmm. What about in this case? Do you guys remember this? What you would do? Times 3, right? We did a lot of them like this, okay? This is the same thing, because what's in front of the x? 1, yeah. So it's 1/3 x, okay? So, yes, you are right. We times by 3, because 1/3 times 3 is what? What's 1/3 times 3? You guys want to check that on your calculator? Remember how to put the 1/3 in as a fraction?
1.
Yep, it's 1. Okay, guys, I need you to pick your heads up because a couple of you are trying to sneeze on me. Okay, okay, so just like we did for that one, for this, what we're going to do is we're going to put each side in parentheses, and we're going to multiply by 3. Okay, so this is one of the harder ones that we're doing, okay, and then we'll take it back down a notch. So 3 times v is 3v. You guys told me that 3 times 1/3 was what? 1. So if it's 1, this is just L times W times H. Okay, now we said we were solving for W, okay? So if we're solving for W and they're connected with multiplying, what we're going to have to do is divide. And the cool thing about dividing is if you want, you can do this at one time. Okay, so if you want W by itself, you can divide by L times H. Okay, so then you would, actually, I'll have you guys, will you guys cancel those out and see if you can write the equation for me? I think I'm doing that part too fast. Okay, so cancel out what's going to cancel out. So the same things cancel out on both sides. Oh, great. What would you do? Just put that over. Okay. Okay, so Dave, tell me one thing that canceled out on this side. Yep. Good. Okay, and then Reagan, what's the other thing that canceled out? H. All right, so then Jojo, what are we left with on this side? Yeah. Okay, so we have W equals 3V over L times H. Yeah, we're going to... Yeah, because it does, I know. This is usually a little bit more difficult, so I'm going to kind of walk you through some things. Yep. Yeah, right? Yep. Okay. So, like I said, the reason why we do this is because sometimes when you are solving, they will give you different numbers to plug in, and if you already have it solved for that variable, then all you have to do is evaluate. You don't have to solve the equation. So this said,
Oh, I know.
you do? What? This thing? Okay, so the square pyramid has a volume of 560 inches cubed. So what we're going to write down is the volume equals 560. and then it says the base length of 10 inches. So we have a base length of 10 inches. The base length is called L, so we're going to put L equals 10. And then the last thing is the height. What variable is the height? But what's the variable? Yep, h. Great. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this equation, W equals 3 times V over L times H. All I want you to do is plug in your values. When you plug something in, I do want you to put it in parentheses. Oops, I plugged that one for you. Sorry. Okay, you can plug in the rest of them, and then we'll evaluate together. So if you don't have your calculator, we grab it. You guys want to try to calculate it without me? Did you already plug those in? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to simplify the top, then I'm going to simplify the bottom, okay? The reason why is, if not, you have to put these parentheses in there, so I'll show you both ways. Okay, so we should have plugged in 560 here. What did you guys plug in for H? 14, and then I plugged in the 10 for you. Okay, so when I say I'm going to do this in 2 steps, what I mean is on the top, I'm going to multiply the 3 times 560. Okay, so we have 1680. Okay, and then on the bottom, 10 times 14, what did you guys get for that? Do you guys know how to multiply by 10 without your calculator? What do you do? Yeah, you just put the 0 on the end, right? Okay. And then did you guys know if they both end in 0, you could cancel those out? You remember that? Good. You can also just do 1680 divided by 140. Okay, so 12. So it asks you what is your base width. The answer is 12. Okay, and because this is inches, it'll be 12 inches. Yay, guess what? You guys just did some geometry. Yeah, that was geometry, okay? Okay, so let's flip it. Of course. Okay, and then so for 6, 7, and 8, you just have to state what the first operation is. Okay, so what are inverse operations? Are just multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. So when it says the first inverse operation, you are either going to write that you add, that you subtract, that you multiply, or you divide. Okay, so I'm going to have you try some of these on your own, but I want you to do what we did last time. So if it's 4z, okay, then I want you to draw an arrow to z, and then you don't actually have to do it, you just have to write what you would do to both sides. Okay? You don't actually have to solve it. Okay, I just want you to write what you would do there. Okay?